Hello, hello. I'm sitting here. I was holding my phone. Let me see if I put it down. I didn't go outside today because it feels a little warm, and I am not looking forward to being warm and sweaty, hot and sweaty. No. So I'm staying in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. I decided to stay indoors today. I turned the lights on, but the light is not that great. Hi, Doug. How are you? Vancouver. Hi. How's the weather there? Let's see. It's November. It must be cold already. I have not been to Canada, to Vancouver, but it's on the bucket list. So we'll wait to let some people come in. We haven't had rain for a few days here in Panama, so I think the rainy season is winding down. I think that from like early December, that will be the end. Good, but we don't get snow. Oh, that is good. Even though I don't mind the snow, I don't like to drive in it, but I love to look at it. I lived in New York for many years. And the last blizzard that we got, that's what sent me to Florida. Yes. All right. So today I thought I'm going to get a few more people in and we'll talk about something that has to do with immigration and people who are already here, retired or residents of Panama. It's something that we found out a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. That was a requirement and an expectation of what we needed to do to remain compliant here and not be in trouble with the law. Migración. Yep. And the weather, it must be in the high 80s here. So it's starting to get warm and muggy. We had a nice little stretch where it was not cool, and in the evening it's real balmy, I call it, and really nice. But it's starting to, it's changing, and I can tell, I can feel it. Yep. Only two seasons here, rainy season, dry season. La temporada seca, dry season. La temporada lluviosa, rainy season. Gotta learn your Spanish. And it's so important to learn Spanish. If you are thinking of emigrating to, let me see, I need to just turn my camera so I can see the light over here. So if you're thinking of moving anywhere to Central or South America, you need to start learning Spanish now because it will make your life so much easier and you're going to have a much better experience than, Google Translate can only take you so far. I mean, I teach Spanish online. What I tell people is that, you get into a situation and then you're stumbling, you have to say wait, and every sentence you have to look it up. Even the other person you're dealing with gonna get a bit irritated, right? But people here are so nice and patient. They may not be impatient with you, but just think about them. You don't want them to feel, oh, what a bother. Now, if they're selling something that you want, yeah, they're gonna be very nice and patient, right? But if in general conversation, I remember when I got robbed and I had to go to the police station and give a report. Imagine it was a 3-page report because the lady wanted details and details and details. So if you had to do it with Google Translate, it's going to take you a long time. Fortunately, they have people here we call fixers, and those are people who are going to go with you to offices, to the bank. You know, they're going to charge you an hourly fee, but at least you have that option. I think somebody asked me before, how do we get in touch with the fixer? I know of a couple, but other people have, they have people that they know. Vancouver Island is 26 miles from Vancouver. Oh, but I bet it's pretty, huh? Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Hola, whoever's watching on Facebook, welcome. So I see 6 people. I don't know if it's truly 6 people. B Pro. Hola. Oh, I'm trying to think. You're the eternal traveler, right? You changed your profile name. I forgot what your profile name was. You changed it. That's wonderful. Where are you watching from, Bia? Where are you in the world? I know you're always on an airplane going somewhere. And I'm like, there she goes again. That's wonderful, though, that you're able to travel like that. Hello. Robin, nice to see you. Welcome. All right, guys. What I wanted to say today, I don't want to just, if you have questions, that's why these lives are, I make them so that if you have any question, we have palm trees here. No way. Wow. Yes, that's a surprise in Vancouver. But anyway, those lives are for you to ask any questions that you want, that you have. I tell you on Mondays, I post things about Panama because I have told you everything about how to move to Panama, the visa process, the culture, the thing that I like, the thing that I don't like so much, but this is what it is. This is Panama. And I tell people, like I do, you have to connect with the place. It has to speak to you. And Panama spoke to me, still speaks to me. I'll tell you, yesterday, Friday afternoon, I don't go to parties. I don't like to go to rooftops. I don't drink alcohol. So if I have, and I'm a terrible 100% introvert. I love to be by myself. So when I'm sitting, I went to the mall, I had my nails done, and then I had a list of a few items I needed. But then I was sitting there in one section of the mall. This is the largest mall in Latin America. Okay, so it goes for miles. And then I sat in one of the on the food court, and then I had a coffee. I don't know why I had coffee. It was about 5 o'clock at night, but sometimes I just need that caffeine. And I was like, oh, that means I'm going to be up all night long doing some work. But I actually went to sleep. That's what happened. Everything is messed up. So I was sitting there and I was telling some friends today, as I was teaching, I was telling them, there's this sense of well being that came over me. I was sitting there, I wasn't bothered. I looked around, people were sitting, chilling. Hi. And then we had a desfile. It is Patriotic Month. So anywhere you go, you can have a surprise group of kids coming and marching and the band, and they were playing all American songs. I was like, look at this. And people were looking and watching and clapping. And the sense of simple joy. People weren't doing anything fancy. I mean, I just had a manicure and a pedicure. It's like anything that you do on a regular basis. But the sense of peace and not being bothered, and everybody around you, there were no rowdy kids. There were no kids walking around with their pants hanging down their butt. There were, people were just, it was familiar families. I'm telling you. And I sat there. I had my phone. I was watching my little dramas on my phone. And that was a peaceful moment. That was a joyful moment for me. So I don't need a lot to make me happy. I don't need to be jumping and driving hours to go to a beach. You can do that, but I don't need it. I may want to do it because I want to explore area. But that's what Panama does for me. That connection, that sense that it's a very simple, joyful, kind, peaceful place. And I pray to God. I was sitting there saying, please protect this, that we keep it, because a lot of us come from stress. And I tell people, you come here and then it's like, shh, you don't need to do yoga, you don't need to do, you're going to meditate, just being here. Are you still getting a lot of rain? Not so much. I was just telling in the beginning that I think the season is changing a little bit, because early December we're gonna switch to dry season. We haven't had rain in a few days, so but we've had quite a bit of rain this season. Yeah, and with Melissa, when Melissa went through, we had a lot of rain, and a lot of our places in the interior. I think I posted, some floods in Boquete and Veraguas and Chiriquí. And yes, we've had a lot of rain. And when you have a lot of rain like that, and I tell people that because the infrastructure here is still a little bit fragile, so we get some mudslides, people's homes get flooded. Because if you go anywhere, you see these homes that are flat on the ground. There is no foundation, they're not raised. And I go to David, I don't see too many homes in the city, but when I go to David, I'm like, why are these homes flat on the ground? And I remember saying that, and I'm like, you need some elevation. I said the same thing when I went to Florida from New York, and I'm like, where's the basement? Somebody said, there's no basement, because if you dig deep enough, you're gonna hit water. And I'm like, oh, okay. But here, yes, a flood in a jiffy. And we lost two kids in raging waters because of the rain. Two kids, 5 and 8, because in the indigenous area, they're like deep in the woods. The infrastructure is even more fragile, and they have to cross rivers. And sometimes they'll put they'll take like a big tree, and the adults would put one end of the tree over here, and then carry it and put it on the other side of the river. And if the river rises, that is not safe. And I think the kids were trying to cross and they drowned. That happens. It's nice as usual to see you and hear your informative information. Indeed, I plan to relocate after I retire. Psychiatric NP. Hey, fellow NP, that's wonderful. Well, girl, I have my license, and I'm like this close to letting it go. So, do you know where and when the Christmas Day parade is in PC? Do we have Christmas Day parade? I'm trying to think. I know we have church service. I don't remember Christmas Day parade here. I may be wrong. And I've been here almost 3 years. Do we have Christmas Day parade? I don't know. I don't remember that. I know once we leave Christmas and New Year, I know we have fireworks and we have church service. It's a very Catholic country. And then we wait for Carnival. Now, Carnival is it. If you want to party, you come during Carnival in February. Hola, DJ. Hola, ¿cómo está? Nurse Clinton. Hi. Prophetess Valentina Bush Hunter. Oh, my goodness. What a name. You're very welcome. The Airbnb I booked in David was flooded. I've seen cars like hanging over. It's bad. And what happens in Chiriquí, where Boquete is, and David, when it rains so hard, because it's called the bread basket of the country, that's where they grow a lot of the vegetables, and they grow a lot of rice, like in Veraguas, Los Santos. When it rains like that, the crops hey, Marilyn, the crops they lose the crops. So then the prices go up. Potatoes, carrots, and lettuce, everything that grows in the ground gets affected. And if you ever come to Panama, you need to go to Chiriquí and go to Tierras Altas. Go to Cerro Punta. Oh my God, oh, so beautiful. The Volcan Baru. We do have What do you call that? Volcano. I was like, a volcanic. No, volcano that is dormant in that area. And it's got that top, and people climb it. It's a hike. And some people will hike it with a guide so they can see the sunrise. Imagine that, being on the Volcan Baru. I mean, I got close, but I didn't get to the top. And when I was there, it was already like midday. But they grew strawberries, and I had the strawberry shortcake and cream. Excellent day. And the air is fresh, and that's why they grow that most expensive coffee, the geisha coffee, in that area. They say, wherever you have volcanic activities, it's like the soil is richer. So when you go to Hawaii, because they have a lot of volcanoes, and then the soil is green, and all that ash, it just makes everything grow bigger. You look at I remember I used to go visit the farms, the pineapple farms, and all the other farms. Everything just grows big and beautiful. So anyway, I digress. But in terms of the rain and the rainy season, but the dry season is something else. When I was here the first time, I came in January, and I didn't see a drop of rain till April. It was 4 dry months, not even a droplet. And it was sunlight for the whole 12 hours. Because, in Panama, the sun rises every day at about 6, around 6, 6:15, and it sets around 6, 6:15. So you have 12 hours of sunlight. Whew, it gets a little much. That's why during those times, you don't want to be out there between like 11 or 12 and 2 and 3, because that's when the rays are harshest, and you got to protect your skin. Make sure you wear your hat and you put your sunscreen on. So I don't make appointments around that time. If I have to go to somewhere important, you're in that Uber, because I'm a bus and metro rider. But middle of the day, because people can pass out. In those parades, I watched the 2-day parade. 2 kids got overwhelmed with the heat, and it wasn't that hot on those 2 days. We were in rainy season. They had to pick them up and carry them and give them Gatorade, and I'm like, throw some water on these kids. Because I remember in Florida one time, I had a guy working on our pool, and I was in the kitchen doing something, and I looked over, and the guy was like prostrated out there, and I ran outside. He was having a heat stroke, and I just went in the in the pool, and I was just throwing water on him, throwing water. He started throwing up. That's deadly. It can be deadly. So be careful with the heat when you come here to Panama. Don't say, "Oh, it's nice and beautiful." It is. So when you want to get your vitamin D, you go like around 7, 8 o'clock. Trust me. I wake up at 6:15, and it's bright out there. So the sun is less harsh early in the morning or late in the evening. If you want to get some vitamin D, just make sure you kind of time yourself right, okay? Otherwise, you can still get skin cancer. Yes. The Christmas festival for December 14th. Along 50th. Oh, okay. I don't remember them. Maybe I don't ever go to them. Yes, Calle 50. Okay. Well, Carnival. We got caught in a parade around Carnival on 50. I'll never do that again. Oh, the sheer number of people packed, and you couldn't move. It was like, I'm like, I don't want to be that close to that many people. It's how you exchange air and stuff. It's like, no bueno. Buenas tardes, M. Thomas. I realized the new line being made. There is a monorail. We have 3 lines. We're going to have 3 lines. And even at Outbrook, I went to Outbrook this week, and all these stairs, they finally opened the escalator, and it looks nice and beautiful. Things are moving along. So I can't wait to see where that stop is going to be at Outbrook. It's going to connect Outbrook, the city, to Panama Oeste. So that's going to be good. When you say monorail, I'm not sure what you mean. We're going to have line 3, They are thinking, oh, you mean the train that's going to connect the city to David? Yes, that is. They talk about it. We don't have a timeline for that yet. They're looking at numbers, the budget and all that. Yes, but what they say, oh, me too. They say that San Miguelito, which is a major area here in the city, they're looking at doing the cable cars like they do in Colombia, the one that go over. I'm like, I don't like height. I'm not gonna be on. I will ride the train, the line 3. Oh, I'm gonna go to La Chorrera just to visit and see what it looks like because I've done that. I would hop on a train and go from one end to the other. Just look at the stop. I would get off sometime when I first got here. That's how I do that with buses as well. I'm like, I haven't been on that buses. I wonder where it goes. So I get on and then I just kind of watch and see where people got off. And I'm like, oh, this is this area. Oh, and then when the last person gets off, I'm like, oh, that's the último parada. I'm like, okay, I get off and then I walk around. And then when I'm ready, I just cross the street and take the other bus back. And that's how I learned about Panama. Take the Corre del Sur, Corre del Norte, just to see what else is in the city. There is more to Panama City than San Francisco, Bella Vista, El Cangrejo. There are a lot of other places. Now, I've never taken a bus through San Miguelito. I haven't done that. I walked through Colon this week. I felt fine. Although some of the areas I was like, ooh, I wouldn't want to be here late at night. I was looking for the bus stop and I found it. And I love Colon. There's an energy there that connects to my soul. Yep. Estaba aquí por muchos meses. Sí, ¿cuántos meses? And se fue. Line 3 is monorail. Oh, I see. And it's also going to go under the canal. We're going to have a tunnel. I'm excited about that. I'm from New York. We go to the Lincoln Tunnel all the time. All right, but what I wanted to tell you guys is that I know Marilyn and B, you guys know about that. Nurse Clinton, you probably know about that. My attorney sent another note, an email today that kind of made me want to just touch on it. And if you're not here, you probably, it doesn't apply to you. It applies to foreigners, expats who are living here. When you got your permanent residency card, apparently they should have told you that there is a law that says if you change your address, you have to let the immigration office know where you are. In the US, if you change your address, you have to let the driver's license office know. I got caught in that one time and I was like, and it's like, what is your address? And they're going to fine you. So you got to do the same thing here. When you first come to Panama and you don't have a permanent address, right? And you are here for your temporary, then you go back and you come back for your permanent. Now you have to give an address. Usually you would give your Airbnb address, right? And some people say they give the hotel address. Some people say they give their attorney's address. Whatever address you give is what they have in the system. So apparently there's a law, I forgot what the law number is, they have ley numero whatever. The law's been in the books. We just didn't know about it. Some of us didn't. It says if you change your address, you have to notify immigration within 30 days. Well, a lot of us didn't know. I didn't know. So maybe 2 months ago, someone posted something on a Facebook page, I guess, is saying, oh yeah, now they are going to start enforcing that law, meaning that if you don't let them know, and channel, okay. Oh, okay. If you don't let immigration know where you are, they're going to fine you $100, right? And if you move again, you don't let them know the second offense, they're going to cancel your visa. And I'm like, oh. And then they say a third offense, they're going to send you back. Now, if you cancel my visa, then I have to leave, right? I mean, what's the third one for? I don't understand it. But anyway, so everybody was panicking, right? Everybody's like, oh my God, we got to go to Migracion. Listen, If you've never been to immigration, you don't know what it's like. That place is always bombed. Thank God for us, when we go, we always have somebody from the attorney's office with us. So they know where to go, they go to which window. One day I went there by myself and I almost got scammed because this guy came to me. He said, I've seen you sitting here, because they gave me a number and never called me. And then he said, oh, what do you need to do? I think I had lost when I got robbed. I had to get my new cedula. And then he said, oh, yeah, I'll take you. It's going to cost you $50. And I don't know why the attorney's office called me. I said, yeah, I'm here at immigration, and they told me I had to pay $50. She's like, no, 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 no. It shouldn't cost you that. So I was going to scam right there. I was going to get scammed. But so when you go there, it is packed because there are people here from all over, and everybody is on a mission to get to see, to talk to somebody, get a picture taken, turn some documents. So if you don't know how it works, it can be overwhelming. If you don't speak Spanish, don't do it by yourself. Hire a fixer. If somebody charges you $25 an hour, it's worth it to have somebody with you. And there are people here, Panamanians, who are working with expats exclusively, and they're making good money just helping people like us. So your options were someone like me who can speak Spanish. I can go to immigration and say, okay, I'm here to update my information, right? And then they're going to tell you, I took a picture of what she told me we needed to bring. And boy, oh boy, when they first came out, started talking about it online, oh my God, everybody was giving you different information. You need to bring this, you got to notarize this. And in Panama, most legal forms must be notarized. I think it's the same thing in the US, because I remember having to go to my bank and just say, I need a notary. And I was a notary myself. So it says that what you need to bring: a copy of your lease agreement that you sign has to be notarized, and that is up to the owner to do that. It's not you, because they're going to charge you like $85 to notarize because, a document. So that's your copy that you have. I'm thinking where my copy is on my computer, I got to make sure that it's got the notary stamp. And then in Panama, don't take like me saying, oh, here is my lease, and showing your phone. That happened to me in Rwanda. They're like, no, we want you to give us hard copy. So what you need to do is to go to Office Depot, and you can email it to the Office Depot email. They have a specific email, and then when you get there, they'll print it for you. So you need to have your notarized lease. You have an original copy of a bill, which could be your utility, your electric, or it could be your water. We usually don't pay water, right? So mine comes by email. And the same thing, I'm going to have to send it to the email at Office Depot and print it. You need to print a copy of your utility bill. And they want a copy of your resident card. They call it like a carne, C-A-R-N-A-N-E with an apostrophe. Carne is not the meat, because it could mean meat as well. I know the Spanish language is crazy. So to make sure you take your residency card and make a copy. They'll make a copy for you, and they could make it in. I would do this one in copy. I mean, not black and white. I would do them all in copy, and then yeah. So your notarized lease, a utility bill, and your resident card. They didn't ask for the cedula. They asked for your resident card. I mean, knowing me, I'm going to make a copy of the cedula as well, and a copy of the residency, your permanent residency card. And if you only have a temporary, I would, if you didn't give them the correct address, I would make a copy of that as well. Because this is the good news. When we found out that they were going to enforce this, everybody started panicking. Oh my God, oh my God. And then the attorney started saying, well, if you want us to do it, we'll help you. More money. I don't know how much they're charging. I know one sister, said, I don't want to be bothered. I think she went with someone. She had a fixer, and then she paid $100, and then they updated her address because she just signed a 3-year lease. So she's like, I don't have to worry about it for 3 years. But if you're in a 6-month lease, know that when you get into your new apartment, you're going to have to do it again. But if you do it within 30 days, you don't get charged. Okay. The fine is if you don't do it within 30 days. But this is the good news. The good news is that once this thing came out and we were all, oh my God. And I'm like, how many thousands of expats do they have here? The government's going to make a killing with all this $100 fine. And then my attorney sent an email saying, well, we appeal to the Migration. We appeal to the Office of Immigration. And we said, since most of them didn't know about it, can you give them an amnesty? Can you give them like a grace period for them to get it done? And today, so I didn't do anything. I said, I'm just going to wait. Because listen, in Panama, it doesn't matter where you go. A police can come and say ID. They are at the metro station. My metro station, going and coming back, you always see a couple of cops milling around. Around the holidays, they're everywhere, and they just stop you. As you go into Albrook, they haven't stopped me yet. Every time I pass, I'm like, well, maybe it's the gray hair. They haven't asked me. But I'm ready to show them my cedula. But they have a little scanner. They'll scan your cedula. And I'm like, I wonder what address it would show. It would show my other address that I had when I got my residency card. So I would be out of compliance. So guess where I'm going to be tomorrow? No, Monday. Monday, I'm going to go to Office Depot early in the morning and make a beeline, take a bus to the jail Faro, go there, because when you go to Migration, remember, it could be an all-day affair. Don't be in a rush. Just plan to be there for however long it takes. Now people say, I was in and out. And I'm like, oh, really? That's amazing. But just plan and don't get upset. Get a folder, put your copies in there, and then say, I'm here to update my my address, mi ubicación. That's what they say. I was trying to see. I looked it up. So that was the good news, that it says that Migration agreed. Oh, I didn't finish. Migration, the email today said, Migration said, now we're going to give you a grace period up to December 31st. So we have until December 31st to go to immigration, submit our papers, and call it a change of address. Okay? Now, after December 31st, January 1st, they're going to start implementing and, using the fine. So that if you get stopped and they scan, I guess my cedula, hopefully the Migration office is updating the policeman's little one that he scans, because my cedula doesn't have my address, and hopefully everything will be updated on there. But that is a grace period. It's November, you have till December 31st. Plenty of time. If you can't do it by yourself, I'm going to do it by myself. But if you can't, hire a fixer or call your attorney. The attorney said, oh, I'll get off your hand. I'll do it for you. Hola, Anita. Where is Office Depot located in Panama? It's right next to PriceSmart. You know where PriceSmart is on Via Israel? It's right next to it. Right off Via España on the Obarrio side. Very easy. Or just take an Uber and it will take you there. Line 3 is okay. Exercise classes. Oh, good. We do workouts Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A la orden, Miss Thomas. Okay, a la orden. That's how you say you're welcome in Spanish here. You know that, right? Don't say no that de nada stuff. We don't say that here. So I was excited to see that in the mail, in the email today, that I don't have to worry about paying that $100. I mean, I was gonna have to do it anyway, if I didn't have a choice. But I think, and I sent a thank you to the attorney, and I'm like, thank you for, um, asking on our behalf, and then that they are understanding enough to say, okay, we understand that they didn't know, so we're gonna give them about a month and a half to get it done. So I'm doing that, and hopefully it will only take a day. Hopefully it's not going to take longer than that. Oh, no, no, no! Tomorrow we can't. Tomorrow, oh my God! I mean, Monday. Monday is November 10th. Nothing's going to be open. It's another holiday. This is the Cry of Independence that happened in Los Santos. So that's also a major holiday. Everything closes. The banks, the school, nada. And going to Migration on Tuesday, probably not a great idea because it's the day after. So maybe Wednesday is a better day to go. It's like if you go into the bank the day after a holiday, the banks don't open till like 12:30 because people have to recover from their holidays. Why? Banks don't open at 9 anyway here. It's like, oh, what is the time you open? When you look at them on your phone, you're gonna say 10 to something or 10:30. Yeah, now it's like 2 hours later. To give people time to get back in the swing of things. Some people are in the interior, they're driving back or taking a bus back. Anyway, I'm thinking that's the mindset beside the late restart. So yeah, I don't see what was the other place. They have a place at Albrook that does copies as well, and I know they have a couple of places at Albrook. Albrook in the transportation area, they have a store that does copies, and next to where they display the cars, next to Durant Coffee, I think on the side they have a place that does copies as well. So it's not just Office Depot. What was the other one that we had in the state? It had like a red sign. I don't remember the name of it, but I don't see that here. So Office Depot is the only one I know. Again, I never say I know where all of them are. I've used Office Depot and they're so kind, and everything is, how when you go to Office Depot, people used to go make like a fax and they were charging you $3 or whatever. No, everything is a lot cheaper there. I mean, you could make a bunch of copies and they say $1.35, and I'm like, what? That's pretty good. So it's nice. How long is the bus ride from David to Boquete? About an hour. And it's like $1 something, very cheap. So if you take a bus from Albrook to David, that's 7 hours, 7 or 8 hours, depending on traffic, right? And then you have to get off and then take another bus to go to Boquete. Yeah, or take a taxi. I remember when I went to Boquete last time, I was staying in Jamarillo, I think, up in the mountain. And then I was doing a sitting. I was sitting with a cat while the family was on vacation. And he said, if you need to go down into the city, this is my driver. And it's a guy who's a cab driver. And I did that. I'm like, hey, so and so, give me your number. I'd like to go that. And then he came and picked me up, and no problema. But if you're gonna ask for a taxi to take you from Boquete to David, yeah, he charged me like, I don't know, he was saying 30 some dollars, and I'm like, oh no, because I can take a bus for $1.50 from Boquete to David. I can do that. Take me to the bus stop, and that's what I did. I'm too cheap for that. Yeah, you see that? That's what it cost me. He said $30. I'm like, no, mm-mm. And on that main road there, where you have the coffee shop and the creperie and all that, the bus stops all along there, right? And go in your Google, I don't know if Google Map would work, they will tell you the bus stops like they do in the city. But you can, that's why, I said, just put me there in a corner. I cut the bus, it was $1.50 to David, and then I got in, took the big bus. And As a jubilada, as a retired person, you get a discount, not from the bus from to Boquete, but from David to Panama. And that's what they say. You want to go to Panama? I say Panama City. They say Panama. I'm like, okay, I thought I was in Panama. But they refer to Panama like it's a different country. And I'm like, okay. But Panama is also a province, so I'm giving them that one. House sitter. Yeah, I was doing some house sitting. I had a cute little cat, and I remember I got there. This lady, her house, oh my God, gorgeous home, just the two of them. They said they bought it maybe 8 years ago and they use it as an Airbnb. I don't think I'd want to do that. I have my room, then strangers in my I don't like that. But they were using it as an Airbnb and they didn't have any guests there. I was happy. And I remember that cat was eyeing me, eyeing that cat, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if she's friendly. And by tomorrow, she was right here. We bonded just like that. Yeah. Passed a lighthouse on the way to Bukete, and the driver said an extra $5 to stop there. Wow. But the drive from David to Bukete, oh my God, I don't know. I'm a sucker for mountains and stuff like that. And you see the mist in there. And in Bukete, in rainy season, it kind of rains every afternoon. And that's what, if you listen to Jackie, she'll tell you, if you have anything to do it in the morning till about 11, 12 o'clock and be in your house. And it's not heavy, heavy sometimes. It's just that mist. So when you go to those coffee farms, to get your tour, and that's what keeps everything, growing so nice and beautiful, and the soil is so rich and green. Oh my God, I just love it there. I was like, I was talking to a couple of ladies when I was there last time. I got me some of these Panamanian sandals, with the yellow brown leather. I got found my size because I have big feet. I was like, oh, that's really nice. And then I was telling the lady, and I'm like, hi, I'm from the city. I said, I'm a nurse. She's like, oh. I said, I have a passion for the indigenous women, and I still do. And I said, I'd like to maybe live over here and see what I can do to help. She said, oh, yes, 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 come on. We could use you. I'm like, okay, that's great. And, the people who worked in the field, they would come down, the big trucks and dogs and stuff. I'm like, cool. So I took a picture in front of this sign that said Cerro Punta. Then I had the strawberry and cream and all that. And we took a bus. I took a bus. You can take a bus from Boquete to Cerro Punta. Okay, it goes to Volcan, and they have a couple of little towns, and then it stops in one spot. And then they say, okay, that's it, too. So we got off, and then admiring the scenery and the smelling of that fresh air and the vegetables. And we found a restaurant we were eating. So there was this little store that was selling, the shoes and, the bracelets and all the pretty stuff. And the mola. I don't have any mola stuff. But I said to her, I love it. I would love to come and live here. She said, oh, yeah, yes, yes, come on. And then I was driving down because it's like you're going up on the bus to get there. Tierras altas means highlands, right? And I was going down and I'm like, okay. I said, I love it, but they don't have any high rise. There is no security guard. They have these little homes that are Panamanian homes, and I don't mind that much. But with that much vegetation, so you're gonna have critters. They have snakes. They have scorpions. Yeah, because people get bit by the scorpions. And what is the animals that I want to say armadillo, not armadillo, but they have the big lizard-looking thing, and I'm like, I'm just not that kind of person. I love to watch them on TV. I don't want to open my house and see them. No. And then you're going to be a single woman in a community by yourself. There is no alarm to put on your doors and stuff. And I'm like, Maggie, not a good move. And I know some sisters who are living there, and I take my hat off to them, but I'm just not that person. So that's why when you come to Panama, you have, or wherever, you have to know what you want and what is practical for you. First of all, based on your budget, and then your likes and dislikes. There's a sister who lives in um, Volcan, and then there's another one who lives in Navi. And a lot of people end up there not just because they really love it. Some people because of the budget, because things are a lot cheaper there. Housing. And I've read about people who've moved into little communities like that and get kind of adopted by some locals. That's good because you need that. But can you trust 100%? The other day, I didn't mention anything in my WhatsApp group, but a foreigner got killed in the Bokete area. And I think when I was here in 2019 or 2020, there were two girls that disappeared in the woods there that went hiking by themselves. They never found their bodies. There was another man they said was living with a local, got killed. So you have to kind of be careful. All right. Panama is very safe, but human beings are human beings. If they say that they see you as having more than them, the temptation is, all right? And we do have gang activities in Panama. You cannot dismiss that. Places like San Miguelito, Colon, that's the reality. I think I was reading in the news that Colon had like 70 homicides this year alone, that are pretty much gang related. It's like every day they're finding somebody in the woods, shot, whatever. Okay. So when you making decisions as to where I live here in the city, I feel safe. And I'm a very safe-minded person when I'm traveling and where I live. I'm not out there in the middle of the night. If something feels weird, I remove myself. You don't walk around with jewelry and stuff like that. You always, head on the swivel. I got robbed or pickpocketed. So since then, I'm very aware. So I'm not going to move into an area just because of the money situation. Okay. And if you must, do a lot of research. Maybe if you know somebody who lives there, try to stay close to that person, or befriend people that and even if you befriending a local, you don't really know them, right? So just be careful. Be careful. It's not just about the money, and I think sometimes people don't understand that. They were showing one time I was on TV. They said wear your bag in the front. These kids in the gangs, remember, gang initiation, they may have to do a robbery or something or an assault for them to be accepted. That's just part of, like in our schools, the hazing, and you have to do certain things. So they have cameras all over here in Panama. So you may not be able to catch the perpetrators, but it will show you how the crime occurred. The accidents, they show them in the news all the time, and also on social media. So this little lady had gone to a bank to cash her little check, Social Security or whatever. Well, they followed her, and when she was walking home, an older person, and they knocked her down and grabbed her bag and took the money because they knew they were watching her. When I was robbed, I knew they were watching me because that guy did that so fast, and that's what they do. That is their job. So another little girl was just walking with her. She did right. She had her purse across her body. They grabbed that purse and ripped it over, dragged her, and took away with the purse. So be careful. You cannot be too relaxed thinking, oh, I was in Cologne, but I was on the swivel, I had my crossbody and, I was watching. You cannot be too careful. All right? That doesn't sound like my speed either. No critters for me. I'm on the 38th floor right now. I have to tell you, I saw one baby lizard one time, gecko, and I hit it and killed it. And somebody in my comments was scandalized. You killed the baby gecko? I said, yes, it was on my stand too close. If you're outside on the patio, I'm leaving you alone. When I moved to Florida, oh my God, I moved from New York. I wasn't in the city. In New York City, we had rats and stuff. I wasn't in the city, so I wasn't used to critters. And I would find a lizard in my bathtub. Oh my God, you would think I saw a boa constrictor. I would run out and scream. And then as time went by, we used to have a black snake that would sun himself on our fans. And I was like, hey, because I was told a black snake is a good snake. I'm like, okay, you on the fence, stay over there. But if you in my house, it's you or me. And I'm not gonna so we're not gonna play with that. So I don't like critters. And after a while I got used to the little lizard. I was like, shoot, shoot, shoot. Yes. But like what else? I was sitting here one time outside in the patio. I saw a roach running by me. Wow. And I ran to under the sink to grab my little spray. By the time I came out, he was gone. But the higher you are, the less likely you're going to see critters. All right. But if you are in a home low on the ground, like the homes are here, chances are, yes, you're going to have little critters in your house. I think this lady found a scorpion in her bed the other day. And, this lady also wrote in one of those Facebook groups, oh my God, we were in Bocas del Toro. My daughter just got bit by a scorpion. What should I do? What should I do? Run to the clinic and see what they can give you. And then someone said, oh, they're not poisonous. And in El Valle, because that's also a volcanic crater, a lot of green, everything beautiful. With the flora and the beauty comes critters. That is their land. That is their area. You're the invader. So if you don't like critters, choose where you live. That's why I'm in a building. I said I would never live in a high rise when I was in Florida. Space. I like my windows open. I don't want to live in an apartment. I don't want to take elevators to go to my house. That's what I said 10 years ago. And where am I? Where am I right now? I'm in a high rise on the 38th floor, and I'm afraid of height. So I sit on the patio, but I never get too close. And I don't want critters. I don't want critters. That's what I had a hard time in South Africa. I need indoor plumbing. I could not. My stress level was so high because I had to go out and use. I could not. And I was like, if I stay here, I'm going to have a heart attack. I can't. I have to remove myself. So now I know that about myself. I can't rough it like that. So know thyself. We have all that. Yes, you do. I remember being in, was I in Texas or what's the other place? Um, that's Texas, San Antonio, Arizona. I was in Arizona and I took a tour at one of those desert things, the cactus and all that, and my skin was so dry in that place. They say, yeah, you're in the desert. That's why you have to put extra moisturizers. For that alone, I don't think I want to live there. And then they were like, oh, yeah, we have scorpions all over the place. Oh, but you get used to them. I don't want to get used to that. No, no. I'm too old. I just choose what I want to put up with. Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to go after you if you're outside in your habitat, but inside, no. Mm-mm. All right, guys. So now you know about the grace period for your change of address. So if I get stopped at any point before I get to change it, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm thinking Wednesday is when I'm going to plan. Oh, I see. I have an appointment. Oh, goodness. So I have to see. But the police again, like if you take a bus from Albrook to David, you're going to see the police come onto the bus maybe 2 or 3 times. At different spots, they'll stop the bus and they're going to come on and they say identification. They want everybody to show their ID. And I have, because I don't know if I told you, but 2 years ago, I took a 3-week tour throughout Panama on the buses. I started at Albrook, I went to Penalties, Las Tablas, Chitre, Penalties, and just did the round. Got to David, Boquete, Tierras Altas, and then I took a bus to Bocas del Toro, back to David, and then back to the city. So I did that for 3 weeks and stayed in each place, couple of days here, couple of days there. It was so much fun. But traveling by bus all the time, it's an experience, right? I tell people from Chitre to Las Tablas, or where was I? I was traveling with the chickens. Sometimes they'll have the thing, and I put my foot up, and the chicken. At least they had the chicken in a cage, because otherwise it would have been feathered all over. But you see, I look at all that as an experience. I went to Peru and I said, I don't want to fly back. I want to take a bus because I want to go through the Andes Mountains and check it out. So I was on that bus for 23 hours through all the Andes Mountain. We started midday. I saw the sunset. We went to the middle of the night. I saw the sunrise. Yeah. But you're tired, your booty, your tush hurts, but you look at it because it's about the experience, isn't it? It's about the experience. So, yeah. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about the bus, but anyway. Does anybody have any questions for me? Some people don't mind. I know. It was a long ride. People are like, what? And if I flew, it's like here. You can go to David in 1 hour from Panama City. We have flights here. 1 hour. To Bocas del Toro, 1 hour. And the bus from Albrook to Bocas is 11 hours. But you know what I did not like about the bus ride? I think the one to David is not bad. 7 hours. If I go like about 9, you there in the afternoon, it's not bad at all. But for Bocas, someone told me, oh, you can take the night bus and then you sleep and you wake up over there. But I never sleep on a bus. I might do this, but sleep. I got see people with their neck ring and I don't do that on planes either. It's like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to be awake. So 11 hours, what I did not like about the one from Bocas, because it got to David, and then it's like 3 or 4 hours to Bocas, because you have to go through the mountain like this, like we did with the bus in Peru. So we are in the mountains. We left Albrook at about 8 o'clock. So I'm talking between like 4 and 5. We were in the mountain. There was a mist. There was fog so thick. And I'm like, oh my God. And the guys would put their bright lights on. I don't see anything. And they're doing this. And sometime another bus is coming, which is what happened in Peru. Sometime when they come into a corner, the bus driver would just blow his horn to let the other person know to wait until he can cut the corner. Whew. And then I look down, I'm like, oh my God. And then once in a while, those buses do fall off the cliff. When I was in Peru, I think a month before I got there, one of those buses that take you to Machu Picchu all the way up had fallen off. People didn't die, but they had multiple injuries. So you're like keeping all that. It's like, if it's your time, it's your time. But that is a risk. And I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Going to Bocas, I'm going to go 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yes. But I'm not going to go and get there at 7 a.m. in the morning and battle that fog. Same thing happened to me in Orlando when I was working at Disney. Downtown Disney, as a prep chef, I used to have to leave my house like at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and I would hit that fog on I-4 on the highway. It's like you're praying that you're not going to crash into somebody else, because years ago we had a multiple pileup crash on one of those highways because of heavy fog. And this is a highway that, all these long semis would be traveling, and somebody did not see anything, and put on the brakes, and everybody else came, and it was boom, boom, boom. We lost a lot of people in that crash. It was a pileup. So I know the danger of driving in those types of weather. So I said, no more. I'm not supposed to be tempting fate like that. So I'm not doing, doing that again. Oh my gosh, oh, it's crazy. Any holidays parades between November 18th? Well, November 28th is actually the main day of independence from Spain. So that's going to be a big one. 28, 28, right after Thanksgiving. Because, for us, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. Thanksgiving is 27th, and then the next day is the big parade. Oh, yeah, more parades. In fact, I am on one stretch, one route, Balboa, and it was okay. I was like, I didn't see that many people, but the new route that they have on Via España from Iglesia del Carmen, it was popping. So that's where I'm going to be on November 28th. And then Monday is in Los Santos. I'm deciding I might just take a drive there and check it out and see how they celebrate. What's different? Because I like the experience of being in the interior. They have some places called fincas. They're like farms when they give tours. I'm all for that, but I'd have to get some boots because that's where you can get those snake bites. Uh-huh. I'd have to get some boots. But yeah, December 6th. No, I think, no, January 9th is going to be a summer day, but December 6th, mm-mm. So the 28th is probably your best bet to see a big parade in Panama. Okay? It's important to be aware of what's going on around you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All right, guys. Any other questions? So I told you about that. What else is coming up in Panama? Mother's Day is going to be December 8th. We don't celebrate Mother's Day in May in Panama. I think some president wife changed it to December 8th to coincide with the saints celebration of some sort. So December 8th is a big day. And I remember when I was in South Africa, it's a big day. People make a big deal of Mother's Day around the world. I guess we should be grateful for that. So we, in our group, we're going to have a retreat. We're going to be at a beach resort for a couple of days and celebrate over there. But here it's just, you might hear some fireworks because, we do fireworks for everything in Panama. Yes. Do you know on the first day of independence holidays, 5 a.m., they started shooting the fireworks? I go to sleep like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You wake me up at 5 and that's it. I can't go to sleep again. So no bueno. But they did that for the Chinese New Year. They start everything at 5 a.m. and then they go to church. It's like, oh my goodness. But the church thing I'm used to because I grew up Catholic and my family used to go to mass at 4 a.m. I used to follow my grandmother there. Not because, I would sleep in church, but after church, we would go get pastries and stuff and hot chocolate. So that's why I went with. Oh my God. I have such good memories of my childhood. I really do. And I'm blessed for that. Mhm. When you decided on Panama, what were the things that made you know this was the place for you? Well, I don't know if you heard my story. I came to see the canal in 2019. It was a bucket list item because, I have a list of places that I want to visit. Like right now, I'm thinking I want to go to China. I want to go to South Korea. I want to do the Asian tour. Those are things I want to do before I die. So the canal, I've been to Europe and I was like, let's leave Europe alone for a while. Let's go south. And, I did Puerto Rico. And then I'm like, oh, the canal, let's go see the canal. So I came to the canal. And I went on a boat tour. I think it was Monkey Island or whatever. And I remember, and I say that story all the time. I was sitting in that boat. The water was calm. The birds were chirping. The monkeys were coming down. People were feeding the monkeys little bananas. And I sat there and I was like, wow, I love the feeling that I get being here. I said, oh, I like this place. So I connected. That's the first thing I did with Panama. That's why I say I didn't choose Panama. Panama chose me. I just liked the way I felt, that sense of peace and belonging that I felt as a visitor. I was just visiting. But I was like, this is a place I'd like to visit again. I'd like to come back. I wasn't thinking of retiring in Panama. I was gun ho. I was going to retire and spend the rest of my life in Africa. So after I recovered from COVID, I said, let me go. Because after COVID, it was like, they don't care about you. I could have died. That place didn't care whether I lived or died. I said, okay, I have to look out for myself. And I wasn't the only one who felt that way. COVID opened the eyes of a lot of us that says, you know what? Tomorrow is not promised. Whatever you need to do, do it now. Right? So I went to Africa on a scouting trip. I wanted to see, because that's a long way from home. I was like, let me go see if I felt the same way there as I did in Panama. And I spent 3 weeks in Ghana, Africa, looking around for business opportunities, smelling, looking. And when I left, when the 3 weeks were over, I'm like, nope, not it. So I said, well, I have some time. Let me go down to Rwanda and see. Not down, I don't know. I guess it's going east. Let me go to Rwanda because, the story is very, how the country had come out of that period of genocide and all that. And I said, let me try. And when I got to Rwanda, it was like, oh no, this is not it either. No connection whatsoever. And people get upset with me, but just because it's Africa, I can visit, but it doesn't mean that's where I want it to be. And now people talk about Kenya, and yes, I'd love to visit Kenya. But would I say that would be home? I don't know. I never wanted to go to Mexico. I don't know why. I love Mexican culture. I love all the colors and the scenery and the culture, the whole thing about family. And I have an affinity for Spanish, and I've always loved Spanish culture. So after I came back from Africa, I was like, well, now that I decided to retire early, I said, well, let me go back and check Panama again. So I came back, and it was confirmation. The feeling was the same, that I loved the weather. I'm from the Caribbean, so heat doesn't bother me. The food is familiar. If you know Panamanian food, it's a mix of African, Caribbean. I'm a cook. It's like, oh, sign me up. The weather, the food. I don't know. Every time I do this thing, I got my own fireworks. And I love the culture of respect, of respecting elders. I like the old-fashioned way of doing things. I'm an old-fashioned kind of person. I'm not that, into the latest, the brightest. No. So I like the fact that kids are respectful of their elders. I love the fact that you call people señora, señor. I'm all for that. Because when I came to the South from New York, I was already prepped for that mindset. I like the peaceful political situation here, that it's not so in my face all the time, people fighting, vilifying each other. We don't have that here, right? So it was like, check, 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 check. And I'm like, you know what? This could work. This could work. And then that's when I started researching the visa and all that. And when it's like, oh my God, so easy. That's it. And, a friend made a comment the other day. Some people talk about what happened at the Booger Island. And someone asked me this morning, what do you think that means? And I'm like, well, I don't know if you know what happened there. The boats, the ferry takes you 30 minutes from Tabuga. I don't know what they call that pier. And then 30 minutes you get to the island, you can stay for the day and come back. And some people were protesting because the company had increased the fee, the travel fee from the island to the pier for the locals. So they kept the boat from letting the foreigners, the visitors off. I'm like, whoo. So now they were going to have a meeting with the owners to say, because they're saying the increase in the fee is not fair to them because, times are hard. But they need the tourists also. That's how they make their money. So it's like a two-edged sword. And someone made a comment because I did a video about gentrification the other day. Is Panama experiencing gentrification? I asked the question. It's not true gentrification, but definitely we've seen increases in pricing here, especially in real estate, because so many people are coming here. So I'm very in tune to see, to read, and read people's body language. If there is resentment, I haven't felt that yet. In my building, everybody's still very cordial, very kind. I'm on the metro, in the buses, the police, no one is showing, because I'm really good at reading body language. I can look in your eye and pretty much say, oh, yeah, what you're thinking. I'm trained like that. Plus, I think it's a natural thing for me. But no, I don't feel that. But when I look at Panama, people say, well, had you looked at Colombia? I don't know why. I don't know why. When I have a list of places, I didn't think of any place in Europe. I don't want to go back to, anyway, I'm going to keep that comment to myself, but I did not want to be cold again. I lived in New York. I came to Florida to escape the cold. I was not going to go somewhere where I was going to have to wear coats and boots all the time. No, I don't want that. So Europe was not an option. Definitely Africa. If there was another place that I felt the best, not necessarily accepted, but I am very, I have to be connected. I'm spiritual that way. So no, I don't do, no, it's not that kind of spirituality. It's just a sense of connection and well-being. That's all it is for me. And I did not get that. What I got in Africa was, and I talk about this last video I did also. You're always a foreigner in a land. Here in Panama, as much as I love Panama, and I keep my nose clean, I'm very respectful. I'm always curious about what's going on. I watch the news every day. I know what's going on here in this little country, right? But my lips are zipped. I don't have to have a comment. I may put something on my Facebook page and say, this is what's happening, but I'm not saying this is why, no, that's not my place, right? So when I look at other countries, like I say, I never thought about Mexico. I don't know why. And then because Mexico has changed their requirement for retirement visa, I think you have to have what, $4,000 a month now, which I probably wouldn't qualify. Ecuador, even though I belong to a couple of Facebook groups. I was like, and Ecuador be popping with those cartels and stuff. And like, no. Colombia had its own history, but that never attracted me. I went to Chile a couple of times. I probably would be down south in Chile because I absolutely love Chile. But it's like an 8-hour plane ride from Miami. I did not. I went there a couple of times for work. I went to conferences there. But could I live in Chile? I think I could. But what I didn't like about Chile, because they get a lot of earthquakes, and I don't do earthquakes, just like I don't do critters. So that's probably why. Anything in between, Brazil, Argentina, definitely is a no. So I didn't think about any other place. I think I just landed in Panama. I wasn't looking for Panama. Panama accepted me. So even now, when somebody's talking, when we look at what's happening, all the rumbling about the canal and everything, and I tell people, it's like, make sure you are living minimalistically, that you don't get trapped down with so many things, that if you need to make a move fast, that you can move fast. And I'm like, where would I make a move fast to? I don't know. People are talking about Kenya a lot these days, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, Kenya sounds nice. But I remember a few years ago they had a mall, the terrorists, whatever, and so many people died. I remember that. I was like, and all the rumbling between tribes and this and this and that. I'm like, I'm just too old. I don't want to even consider that. Look what's happening in Tanzania right now. I remember this little girl, oh, Tanzania, Tanzania. And now they had a big old outwar. People died. And it's like, don't be running from one thing and end up in another place. So I'm like, so far, if they said, okay, all Americans out, then I guess I'm going to have to leave. But Panama has had a history with Americans forever. And it's like we're almost part of the fabric. If you lay low, you're not loud, you're not putting yourself out there. Well, I'm on social media, but for my little ladies, but I'm not into politics. I don't. People go in there, talk about the Matrix and all that. I don't talk about America on my channel. I don't. You all watch the news like I do. I get a little bit of it in the morning, and that's all I can watch because it is so heart wrenching, and I don't want to feed myself all that negativity. What does it do? It's just gonna hurt me as a person and my outlook on life. So I'm just grateful, keeping my nose clean, and just enjoy every moment. I know that was a long answer as to why I chose Panama. And every time, and people will tell you, Miss B, who's watching here, she's always flying back and forth going. People leave, and when they come back, they're like, oh, I'm so glad to be back. And they're away. They say, I can't wait to come home. That's what Panama does for you. Everything just kind of makes you feel at peace. And we go through so much over there. And then when you come here and you don't have all the drama, you don't have to be worried about your life every second. I mean, my kids are back there. I do worry sometimes, but I have to give them up to God. There's not much I can do over here. But Panama is a special place, bar none. I love how the Panamanians celebrate their history and culture. Yes, ma'am. Very heartwarming to see the elderly and the young preserve their morals and the pride on their face. You notice that when you go to the parades, these kids are practicing and they're walking. And when you go to an event and they have the music playing, and sometimes they'll say something you may not understand, but they say, "Somos orgullosos de ser panameños." That pride that they have to be Panamanian is something else. And when you see the little ones, doing the tamborino and the little girl with the pollera going, they start them young. They start them young. And they say, la cultura, la cultura. They want to preserve it such as it is. They still know what the colonizers did to them. They still had the canal zone, know how the Americans treated them. They still know how they dropped the bombs on them to get Noria. They know all that. They have the Afro, and they celebrate every single one. The Chinese are here. They celebrate as well. So that's what makes Panama unique, that they can realize that they are a paella, like my friend says. Because 70% of Panamanians are mixed ethnically. So you have the indigenous, they're not mixed, but some of them have married outside, and then you have the European, the Chinese, and then you get and then the Afro-Caribbean, and you get a paella, and you see them, they have beautiful skin, beautiful hair, just gorgeous, gorgeous people. And they don't ever want to lose that tradition. They don't want it to be forgotten. When we celebrate Etnia Negra, a whole month to celebrate Afro-Panamanian culture, they're trying to erase it over there. But here they're like, no, we want to hang on to it. And whatever event they have, you're going to see the pollera, you're going to see the Congo dancers, and you're going to see the indigenous dance, all of them. I don't see the Chinese dancing too much, but the Chinese also had a float and they were in the parade this year. Weather, food, laid back culture, simplicity. Well said. As a Jamaican, being in Panama feels like a second home. Yeah, because your granddaddy and all your grandparents are here too. The people, environment, and culture is just what it is, isn't it? You know, I go to Cologne, I had that icy thing that in my culture, I grew up with the shaved ice, but Cologne took it to a whole different level. And I said, I could be in Cologne and not have a raspal. But as an old woman, I shouldn't have that much sugar. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have one. This is my one from Cologne, and that's it. I cannot have another one. And the guy, I saw these two guys, and I took a picture, and I'll post that of their stand, and they're serious. It's two of them. One of them is shaving the ice and putting it in a cup, getting it ready for the artist over here. He takes the cup and he puts the syrup inside, and you have different flavors. You have maracuya, you have fresa, which is strawberry, and then they do, what else do they do? Naranja, I don't know if they do. They have like different types of syrup. They put two in the cup, then they put some of the shaved ice. You pour some syrup, and then they have a powdery thing that now I see as being, it looks like coffee maker, coffee mate, the powder thing. Put it there. Then take another cup of ice, put it in there, more syrup. Then he puts all that condensed milk. I started sucking that thing, and I'm like, how many grams of sugar is in there? Oh my God. It's a good thing I'm the diabetic. I'll go into the doctor the next day. So it's like I have to go, sour for a long time just to counteract that. I said my pancreas was twitching. And I'm like, how many of those do you eat a day? Ooh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. But boy, oh boy, they enjoy their culture. That sow, that pig feet thing, that's pickle. I haven't been able to eat that, but it's coming. I gotta try it. I gotta try it. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. We got more. All right. Yep. A raspao con crema. Yes. They put that. When I grew up with it, it was just shaved ice and the syrup. Here, it's got the powder, like powdered coffee creamer, and they put that condensed milk in there. That's rich. Whew. But listen, Cologne also has the highest obesity rate, high blood pressure, diabetes, and is it cervical cancer in the country? So all is not well. Some of that diet from the Caribbean is dangerous. When you start to get older, you got to pull back a little bit. All that rice and oil and meat, you got to pull back. You got to pull back. You can't eat all that all the time. And I remember I was part of a group on Facebook, and I'm like, as a chef, I'm telling you, you can like a dish, but can you kind of adjust it so you don't have all that fat and stuff? And then somebody said, well, didn't you know this is a channel for this and this and that? Why are you adjusting? I'm like, okay. If you want to have a raspal once a day, go for it and see where you end up. You can't do that. Your body is not designed for that. You can enjoy it once in a while, but it can't be daily. Something's going to hit the fan, guys. And those chronic illnesses, it's lifestyle. You got to watch what you're putting in your body. You cannot indulge. That Jamaican diet, that Haitian diet, you got to pull back. You can't eat all that meat all the time. You got to relax. So I could not lose weight when I kept eating like that. I'm exercising. I don't eat carbs. I'll be okay. No. When I got on the scale and I hit 203, I was so embarrassed and ashamed. And I had to do something drastic. That's when I went whole food plant-based and lost 40 pounds in 90 days. You got to be careful. And all of that weight is not good. And even though living in Panama, because you're not so stressed out, it's not as bad because you don't have all that cortisol in your system, right? Because you walk around, you see some Panamanian, they're not skinny, but not that overly obese like you see them over there, right? but they're still very happy, and they may, I don't know their medical history, but I know diabetes has increased a lot in Panama in the last few days. I read it. It's not my opinion. And the rice, el arroz that they eat so much, no bueno. If you get a Panamanian in the morning, if I go to Cinco de Mayo to get some fish, somebody with a pastry, you see them walking with that little bag, it's a pastry. Well, I love that hojaldra, that fried bread, once in a while, but I can't eat it every single day. It's going to do something to you. Hojaldre, empanada in the morning, a soda in the morning. For lunch, arroz, chicken. Dinner, arroz, plantains. It adds up, guys. You're going to have to pull back a little bit. More fruit or vegetable, more vegetables than fruit. Because as you get older, your body's system is not as effective. When you're young, yeah, if I had that raspal, probably wouldn't hit my pancreas blood sugar. My pancreas would say, oh, insulin, insulin, insulin. But now insulin says, girl, I'm tired. I'm 67. I'm old. Why are you doing this to me? And then your blood sugar is up. So you cannot treat your body when you're older as if you were 18. You're not 18. You don't have all that backup to just kind of fight off. No. So people get upset with me, and I'm like, sis, listen, I can only tell you, I can't make you do anything. Your body's yours. It's up to you. 67. Some people are in their 50s. They look like they're 80, right? Okay. Tienes que tener cuidado, sí. All right, anything else, guys? Let's see. Almost an hour and a half. So I'm just going to take a couple more questions if you haven't. That is true. Fried food every day. No bueno. No, ma'am. And do you know, when I watch, I'm in those streets every day, the soda, people drink so much soda here. It hurts me when I see that. And I remember I was telling another person, I was watching a documentary. They're talking about what Coca-Cola has done to places like Mexico. People pour it in little kids' cup. I was in Cologne. I was watching this little kid. You know how when you have babies who go to sleep with the bottle, they get rotten teeth. And this little girl, she looked like she was maybe 3 or 4. And she had a mouthful of rotten teeth right there. And I'm looking and I'm like, I know exactly what happened. Too much sugar. And then they were saying that they were interviewing some little kids, some Mexican kids. And they're like, what do you like to drink the most? Coca-Cola, Coca. And they say, you don't drink water? Oh, no, we don't like water. We want Coca. The sugar addiction, they start them young. So what happens? So they go through that lifespan, and then they were like, well, yes, when they get to be 20, 30, not only do they have the obesity, they develop diabetes and the lambs. Cutting the foot, this foot, you start with the toes, then you go here, you go under the knee, then you go above the knee. They go blind. They get heart attacks and strokes. This is the nurse talking to you now. So they're saying that the marketing of these sodas, soft drink is so strong. They give money to the community. They give money to the school. They sponsor teams. That's what McDonald's and all of them do. So what do their kids want? And I remember one day I was visiting a friend of mine. She had a little, I think maybe 18-month-old, 2-year-old son in the back seat. And we were driving along, and we passed a McDonald's, and the little baby in the back went, pa-pa-da-pa-pa. That's how you know the marketing is good. When that kid can equate those fries and those chicken tenders with that sign, he knew exactly what that meant. When I was, in business, and that's what you always want, that a customer, if they have a need, they know exactly who you are, and they can, with one word or a slogan, can identify your service or product. That's marketing. That little baby went, pa-pa-da-pa-pa. but that was a thing with the McDonald's ad. So yeah, we're fighting that. And I saw the same thing in Africa. People don't drink water. Fanta, Coca-Cola. And I work with this guy. He said in the morning I wake up and that's what I get, a Coca-Cola. And I started talking about water. He said, "Oh, Miss Maggie, don't call me a messing." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Drink your Coca, brother. He'll catch up with you later." And then what do? You're taking all that and reaching somebody else. And even though he knows it's bad for you, but because it's profitable, they're not going to stop. But in Europe, they limit all that because they are concerned about their people. It's not just about the bottom line, the balance sheet. Okay, I'm getting on a soapbox again, so let me stop. Sorry. I don't drink soda. I don't know when the last time I tasted one. Soda, anything with sugar, and sugar is hidden in so many things. So I heard a slogan that says, "If nature didn't make it, you don't need to eat it." It's been 20 plus years since I drank soda. Grease and sugary drink, really bad, really bad, really bad. And when you go to a store here in Panama, watch, when you go to Super 99 next time, you're going to see a whole wall of hot dogs. So I went to Cologne this week. And you know how every Panamanian event, they have the little chorizo that's swirled like that in that little kebab stick, and they grill it and they put a sauce on it, and every little kid is walking around, two for $1, two for $1. But that thing is bad too. Hot dog, what's in a hot dog? It's all the leftover thing from the meat. They just grind it, put spices in it, and put it in a tube or whatever and make a sausage. That's hot dog. That's not even food. That's nasty stuff. But they love it. And even in the culture here for breakfast, if you're on a bus going to David, halfway, like in Santiago, the bus is going to pull into a place and it's like a fonda. So people get out, go to the bathroom, and then you line up and you're getting food. Usually they have food for breakfast, and then they'll have hot dog. They cut it off and then they put it like in a sauce, and that's for breakfast. And I'm like, oof. And they eat beef for breakfast. I don't eat breakfast, so just the thought of it for me is like, oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. Yeah, the diet is not that great. I'll get you that. But if you want to eat right, you do have the fresh food here. But that's why I tell people, don't go be eating at these fondas every single day. It's not healthy for you. It's not. All right. Yes, sugar and salt. And salt is not bad, but because it's used to preserve everything, potato chips, everything, to preserve it, then you're getting too much of it. But in itself, it's not bad. All right, guys. Anything else? Yeah, nothing good about soda. But I don't see anything changing because, everything that makes money trumps everything else. It's not about health. It's about how much money you can make. So just like drugs, when people were saying that there was such an addiction with pain pills and stuff like that, they said the people who make it knew how addictive it was, but because it was so lucrative, they kept prescribing it. And people would get so addicted and they move into, hard drugs like cocaine and all of that. It's like, yeah. I remember watching, I watched a lot of dramas, and I was watching a drama from Turkey. And they had a little lady who was a matriarch, but her family was rich. But they were dealing in some illegal stuff, which is the truth about a lot of wealthy families. You get to be a billionaire. I don't know how clean your hands are, okay? So, and then it was a drama, but remember, drama, music, art, they all reflect the reality in that society. So they were dealing in what was it, illegal drugs or something. And then someone asked the little lady, they said, "Don't you feel bad that you, as a prominent person, in the community, that your business is dirty and that the drugs that you are dealing with is, killing families and young people?" She said, "Yeah, I realize that, but look at all the good I'm doing over here. We're supporting kids going to school, going to college." She, she justified that her business was killing the same kids over here, but what kind of mindset is that? And this is it. People just are so self serving in politics and in life that we don't care about this person over here. As long as this little here, we can get our needs met. We don't care how you do it. We just want the money. We don't care how dirty it is. Mm. If you can go to sleep, and you can, because most of these people have lost a sense of having a conscience. So when you say, "Oh, if you have a conscience," they don't anymore. They've suppressed it so long that nothing phases them. When you watch little kids starve and it doesn't do anything to you, you've reached a different level. I can't touch you. I can't. I don't even waste my time. I leave you up to God. Because if people starving, children, you see the pictures and it does nothing to you, what can I tell you? You should expand your group to include men. David, we also want to retire in a better place and have support group. You know what? That's a thought. Actually, somebody said, "When is SWRA going to go international?" And I'm like, we're not ready yet. SWRA is only a year old. We're still trying to get our ducks in a row and define who we are. So we're not ready for that. But I think definitely, David, you can start one group. I think it needs to be started by a man. Yeah. I've got men calling me, asking me questions, and I give the same information. But you need community as well. I know we as women, we are more, um, it's more of a need for us. I don't know if it's because you men have not expressed that enough, but I know as women, we need community. We need to be with other women, right? The example that I give is I remember when my family and I moved from New York to Florida, and I remember how much I struggled. And it wasn't just me struggling. I had a girl from Minnesota, I had a girl from New Jersey, I had a girl from Ohio, and I started something like that, a support group, to say those of us who are foreigners, because we were coming from New York to Florida, it was like we were in a neverland, newer land. We didn't know. People spoke differently, they thought differently, they acted differently. We're like, whoa. And then, of course, because we needed to connect, we could not connect with them because they saw life so differently. It was such a different mindset. So we started congregating together, having lunch and stuff. And we talked about our husbands. And you're like, "Well, how do you feel about that?" "Oh, fine, fine. I got the job because men," not you, David, ready to retire, but men typically find purpose in their job. And if the job is doing good, they can go play some golf, on the weekend, and they're cool. Women, we're like, we need to chat. We need to be with other women. And we weren't getting that. And we were just commiserating how hard it was. And some of us got depressed. And I'm telling you, for the first 2 years, I wanted to go back to New York so bad because I didn't think I was going to make it. Let me tell you what saved me. This is a story. I think I've said that too. One day, we used to have newspapers back in the day. And I remember I was reading an editorial. Remember the editorial section? I used to love reading those. And then this person said, the do's and don'ts of, what did he call us? Like newcomers or something like that. And he said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that. So it got us thinking that, oh, they're different from us and they think differently. How can we come together and just kind of relax our standard and expecting everything to be the same and say no? And we even here in Panama tell you that when you come to Panama, when you hit that airport and your stress level goes down, everything goes down. That means everything is slower. Even though you say that people speak fast, they think you speak fast, but everything else is slower. Life is slower. So some people really have a hard time adjusting to mañana. You're going to make it if you understand that people are not rushed for anything, okay? So, but we needed to be with each other, and that's why I did SWRA, because I was like, I need to find a community of women that if something happens to me here, I have to have a sister I can call, and that's why we created SWRA. But I think it's important. You're right. I think it's important for men. But I see a lot of groups here. They have a lot of what do you call these group? Mix. People are dating, people have couples, and they do a lot of things together. So you do have that available to you here in Panama. And they have different ages. You have the older ones with their spouses, and then they have the younger ones. So they have groups in here. No more compass anymore. In some places, single women. We the guys are intruding. You're not. What address service do expats use that no longer live in the USA, please? What they do is that you sign up with um, what do they call these places? Like a mailbox, etc. International mail service, they call them. So you sign up with them, and what they do, they provide you with an address somewhere in Miami. So when you go to the post office, you do like a mail forwarding to that address. And then once everything comes to that address that's forwarded by the post office, you can go in your account and scan all the pieces of mail. And you can choose to say trash, trash, because, before I came, I just made sure I unsubscribed from everything. I didn't want any more magazines or anything like that. You do that like 1 or 2 months prior to you leaving. And then if there is a piece of mail that you want forwarded to you, then you say forward, and then they'll send it over here. And then you can either go to mailbox, etc., or whatever fast box. We have a bunch of them here. You can either go to the office to pick up your mail or your box or your package from Amazon and other places, or they'll deliver it to your building for like a small fee, maybe $2 or $3. So that's how a lot of people get mail here. And they used to do the same for Amazon, but I haven't ordered anything from Amazon since I've been here. But I understand Amazon delivers here now. They ship directly to Panama. I said to myself, if there is something I need, it's not here, I don't need it. Or when I go home, I'll bring it back with me. But it is possible. And remember, for your Social Security, you make sure you have an address in the US, not a PO box. And the address they provide you, those mail forwarding places, it's not a PO box because you cannot use a PO box. But it will be like something in 24th Street in Doral, Florida, or something like that. And then they'll bring it over here. I saw this one called iPostal. I've seen some ads about it, but you have to make sure it's one that can bring you stuff from here. So if you do mail forwarding Panama, I have like 4 or 5 that I think I have in my resource guide, but that is possible. iPostal. I saw iPostal ads, on TV. I don't know that I haven't seen it here, so that's probably not one. But mailbox, etc., has been around for a long time. And then whenever if you have a package, they're gonna charge you per pound. But if it's a piece of mail, it's not gonna cost you anything. So I would stick to mailbox, etc. if I were you, because they've been around for a long time and they are all over Panama. Not even in the city, they're also in Boquete and other places. Yep, and they do a lot more. People have gotten their passports and all kinds of stuff done there. They do a lot more than just mail. Men don't normally stay single for long. I don't know that. I don't know. How do people join SWRA? SWRA is single women retiring abroad. First of all, you have to be retired. You have to be living in Panama full time. And after you come to Panama, then myself or one of my admin ladies will meet with you, explain to you what SWRA is. Because the thing about SWRA is that if you want to join SWRA, you have to be a single woman who is here alone, looking for sisterhood as support as you age. Meaning, if you get sick, if something happens to you, you're not here by yourself. We're just rolling out what we call our clusters. So we're going to have our sisters who live like myself. I live with two other sisters in my building, and there's a sister who is like two building over. So we're going to form a cluster, and the cluster means we're going to get together as a little nucleus, right? We're going to go to dinner. We're going to go walking. We're going to exchange keys, in case you're not here. Somebody can check on your house, water your plant, walk your dog. And if you have something wrong with you, you check in every single day. So you need that kind of um, devotion and closeness. We're not looking for casual relationship. We're not looking for somebody to go to lunch with. You got so many of that going on around. People can go to lunch every single day with different groups they want. That is not what SWAT is about. SWAT, that's why some people have left. Because if you can't buy into that vision that you by yourself in a strange country, you're going to grow old. A lot of people end up going back to the state because they get sick. We want to say, sis, we got you. We got each other because we know something is going to happen. We know we're going to get sick, right? So we want to be there for each other. And that's what makes SWAT different from other groups. But you have to be here on the ground. When I first started, I was like, yeah, if you are in the process of coming to Panama, yeah, you can join. Now we don't do that anymore. Another one is like, oh, well, I just want to be here a few months out of the year, then I go back home. Then no, we don't do that anymore. We're just tightening it. It's for people who say, this is home, this is where I'm going to die. Therefore, let me create my community to support me as I age. And then when you come here, you have my Facebook, you have my YouTube channel, you have way to contact me and say, like people all the time, hey Maggie, I landed. Like this girl called me last night, I think it was like 11. She said, I just landed, I'm over here. How do I get a SIM card? And I'm like, first of all, you should know, I've told you, once you get in the airport, get a SIM card for 7 days. So you have Wi-Fi when you step outside the airport. You don't want to be in a new country with no way to contact somebody. And remember, you're in a developing country. You cannot expect to get Wi-Fi everywhere. You need to have a SIM card in your phone or your eSIM. People talk about that, Holofly, that you can have access to call somebody. So it was after 11, I still answered it. I'm like, you can go here, go in, go here, go there, right? So once you come down here, after you've rested, you could say, Maggie, I'm here. Can we have coffee? Yeah, we can do that. But you have many ways of contacting me. When and where is the next SWA? Well, we don't meet in November. We don't meet in December. Right now, we are just trying to, we're working on getting our retreat, tied up for Mother's Day. I just sent out the invitation for our Friendsgiving gathering for Thanksgiving. And then it's going to be, Christmas. People go back home, with their families, so we don't meet. We're going to start in January. Usually it's the third Thursday of every month. That's when we have our monthly meetup. I haven't even created the topics for next year yet, but that's what we do. Every single month, we have a meetup, and it's usually some kind of educational program. We'll have sometime a guest speaker. People talk about all kinds of stuff, cremation, taxes, and I talk about health stuff. We had someone talk about water, washing your vegetables. I think somebody wanted to talk about something that's kind of akin to feng shui. I'm not into feng shui, but how do you make your house feel like home, away from home, those kind of things, things that are important to us. And as we age, emergency sign, we talk about emergency management, to have our emergency bag and our emergency um, folder with our information. We talk about what to put our emergency information, that we have a tag to our bag in case we fall in the street, so they know who to call. Those are important things because we don't have the little, I've fallen and I can get up here in Panama. So we had to come, kind of find ways to connect to people if something happens to us. Yep. But I want to be in Maggie's group. David. Listen, David, you need to start the group. Don't call it SWA now. You gotta say SMRA. I don't know, it's called SMRA. Oh my gosh. I am building a SAS platform called Quarterly. I think I got something from you, Clovens. Did you send me an email? I think I've seen something in my email. A toolkit helping expats. I think I saw something like that. I would love you to be a contributor, part of the health and wellness section, the community hub that we will be implementing. I think I got an email from you about that. Gracias, Maggie. You're welcome. A la orden. I'm not retired. That disqualifies me. Yeah, you have to be retired. And we have some sisters here who are still working online. Yeah, yeah. But you can still, the thing that we do is that even if you're not part of SWA, when we have our meetup, we have our quarterly tea, when we were white with the hat, we allow anybody to come. So you can still network with SWA sisters. I do too, David, LOL, but rules are rules. All right, guys. Oh my gosh, it's almost 2 hours again. I just gifts of gab. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I always have so much fun with you guys. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but I try to come up with a topic. Okay? All right. Thank you, Auntie. All right, but if there was anything, any question, if there was anything happening in Panama, I will tell you. Panama has been quiet. Please give the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, you guys. And if you're watching me, David or whoever, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't just come and chat. I love to chat with you too, but you have got to subscribe to the channel, okay? That helps me out. I appreciate it. And kudos to our members, those who work out with me on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. We do a exercise program, and I'm so excited. Some sisters are here every single week, and we get in there, we move, because movement is life, babe. All right? All right, guys. Have a good evening. I was thinking I wanted to go to foodies. I'm looking for okra because I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to cook tomorrow. I'm going to be hitting the road, just walking to foodies and see if I can find some nahu. That's what they call okra here, nahu. All right, guys. God bless you. Take care. Have a good afternoon, good evening. Bye-bye. Yes, there is asparagus. Expensive, but yes. A little pack, $5-6. Asparagus and Brussels sprouts. Sometimes you find Brussels sprout, not easy to find. Cauliflower also in some places, not in like Super 99. You're not going to find them there now, but maybe if you go to Super 99 in Paitilla, where they have the Jewish folks, they may have it, because everything depends on your demographics. But yes, we have asparagus. Yes, yes, yes. All right, guys. Take care, okay? God loves you. Bye bye. And stream.